In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Welcome back. Today's topic I want to talk about life, and man, I need to stop saying, oh, you feel me? Maybe I need to stop saying you feel me. Maybe nobody feels me or understands what I'm saying. No, I'm kidding. On a side note, yeah, I want to talk about life. I want to talk about, just sometimes we get complacent. Sometimes we get stuck. Sometimes we just decide, oh man, this is it. This is as good as it's gonna get. Or man, this is the only girl I'm supposed to be with, or this is the only job I can do. But I just want to simply remind you that you are not stuck, that you can get up and change your situation. Yes, there is people who really can't change their situation, and I pray for them. But, on a side note, a lot of the times we can change our situation, especially when it comes to things like, our job, the person we are with, if we're unhappy, our current situation, the place we live, our car. We should never settle for the things that we just think is acceptable, or that this is all that life, entails, when it doesn't. Just remember that you are not stuck. You can get up and you can change your girl. You can change your job. You can change your life. Unfortunately, that always comes with a cost, and that's the cost of grievance. The grievance of, oh man, I could have done this. I could have been this. I could have been that. But at the end of the day, we have to talk about what really matters at the end of life. And I was thinking about this quite heavily the other day. I was thinking, okay, what are the true important things that I can think about in life? Well, first of all, the biggest thing that I can think of is, time. We can always make more money, but we cannot make more time. Once time is gone, it is gone. Vanished into thin air, for it is nothing that you can touch, grasp, for it is gone. Money, you can always get up, go and work another job, another shift, another XYZ, right? You can sum it up. You can be an entrepreneur. You can dibble dabble, do this, do that, and you can make it. However, your time, once it's gone, it's gone. That's it. There's no more looking back. There's no retrying, no reliving. That's it. And man, sometimes that sucks to think about. However, that can also give you a sense of clarity, and a sense of calming, just saying, the fact that we are going to die. Well, just simply because of that. Well, I know I better go hard in the paint. I better get up and do what I need to do. I better go and chase that girl. I better chase that job. I better switch it up. Don't get comfortable. Don't get complacent. And don't forget that you are not stuck. You can change it. Yes, if you have kids, yeah, it might be a little harder, because all you have to think about not only yourself, but those kids. And yes, that sucks. However, at the end of the day, if your kids can tell when you're not happy. And your kids, just like you, want you to be happy deep, deep, deep down, because you are a reflection of that child. And that child just wants to radiate happiness and stuff like that. Unfortunately, these jobs, they be so stressful. I don't know about you guys, but I'd be working 40 plus hours. And yes, I understand that's nothing compared to 80 hours. But when has that ever been the goal? When has that ever been the goal, to work every single second as you wake up, lay down, have some time off? When has that ever been the goal? And it's not the goal. At least for me, it's not the goal. So I think the first things first, the most important aspect of it all is time. Because we just do not get that back. Once it's gone, it is gone. And some people, sometimes we just forget about that, that it exists. But we also tend to forget that our life is our very own. That nobody is coming to save us. That nobody is coming to change us for us. Nobody can tell us what we feel deep inside that makes us happy. What upsets us, what makes us, shake into the core, what doesn't vibrate us to the core, And these are important things, is to feel alive and to listen to your gut and your heart, for the heart knows what the heart wants. And when you lie to it, it's going to feel when you're lying to it. The body is very smart when it comes to that type of stuff. And you know it because you feel it. And you feel it deep inside your bones. So time is one thing. Don't forget about that. Another aspect I like to think is the most important thing is your family and friends. For this life is very much so relationship worthy. There is often times where I neglect that and I'd be forgetting that, it's not me versus the world. And sometimes it's very easy to fall into that mindset, into that trap. But if we're called here to love one another, why is it just us versus the world? For we are meant to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, love our enemy, spread the love, not the hate. And I get it. Sometimes people just really know how to kill the mood, the vibe, the friendship, the relationship. Sometimes people just know how to, in plain simple terms, they know how to suck. They know how to suck at being a good friend, a good partner, just somebody who's good to be around. And those are the people that your body is telling you got to get away from. If you can't even hold a simple happy conversation with someone, and you feel good about it, that's just simply not your people. But it doesn't mean that you have to hate them. It doesn't mean you have to ruin their day or to treat them like an animal or treat them with disrespect. It does not mean that at all. It means you can still love that person from the distance. Because I know if they were down bad and they were, getting stabbed or something like that, or just some crazy event, you would probably help them. Even if it's not the way that you picture in your mind, even you calling the cops just to save their life is helping them. Why? Because we care about each other. And yes, I understand sometimes people suck, but simply follow your gut, follow your heart. If they ain't for you, just simply get away from them. Cut them off. There's nothing wrong with cutting them off. Sometimes people are just here for a season. Sometimes they're here to be a lesson. Sometimes they're here to teach you a lesson. Sometimes it's to teach them a lesson. Sometimes it's simply to be reminded over and over and over again that, especially if something keeps occurring in your life, there's a good chance that, it's, angling you towards what it is that you really want deep down. For example, and this goes back to settling. I drive a car that I like, is good, and stuff like that. All my parents, my people, they all influenced me. Oh, yeah, you should get this car. It's a great car. It's a great car. But I really had my eyes on another car. And I simply took this car that I have right now just because I thought, my people know best, right? They know best. They know me. They know what I'm going to be doing, how much gas, etc., right? However, what they fail to tell you is that they're not the one driving the car. They're not the ones living in it. They're not the ones driving it every single day. Maybe not living in it, but you get my gist. They're not the ones that have to wake up and look at it and drive to the store. They're the ones taking long road trips. They're not the ones, so they don't know. They don't know what it is that you really like and what you want. Only you can know. Even when people are simply sitting there telling you, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, simply don't listen. Follow your heart. If you're working a job, or get that car, first of all, before I go on to the next thing, is simply get that car that you want. Even if it's not the greatest, you'll learn. You'll learn, and you will at least appreciate the car, and you'll be happy looking at it, because that's simply what you drive every single day. And people don't tell you that. But it not only applies to the job, it applies to every aspect in your life. And that even goes for jobs. If you're working a job and you're just miserable and you're just not a fan of it, it's time to, I heard a great quote, when your mind has left, oftentimes it's time to take your body with it. And that is a great quote. I don't know who said that, but, I'll have to look it up, give them credit for it. Whoever can credit in the sources, please feel free to do so in the comments, please. But, just, there we go with the bots, you feel me? We could probably start taking, drinks for all these shots. All jokes aside. But that's one aspect is family and friends. We never realize that our relationships, really make up for a lot that we really choose to acknowledge. I feel like we ignore that. We ignore that side of things of people just because, we get so so used to and so comfortable in our ways of life and the day-to-day, and it's my way or the highway. But we're here to serve, and I know you feel a lot better when you do so. And if you look at the grand scheme of things, I don't think I'm going to be happy at the end of my life saying, I worked another shift. Yeah, I busted my for this. I did this, I did that. Yeah, I worked another shift, but I missed out on my nephew's party. Yeah, I worked another shift, but my grandpa died while I was working. These are not things that I want to say when I'm, older. These are not things that I want to do. I don't want to live back with regret, and I think that is my biggest thing of all times. And I think that is what life is trying to direct at me and trying to teach me. Following the ways is realizing what's really important at the end of the day, because we're on a time limit and it's ticking. And if you don't take advantage or take, command of your life, well, then it's going to flash before your eyes. And then you're going to be like those people that you work with who've been there for 30 plus years, 15 plus years, 10 years, who don't have what they want, or even have, or even chase their dreams, ambitions, or desires. In a sense, they're already cooked, but they're not really cooked, but they're cooked because they're going to continually make excuses for themselves on why they can't do that. And I want you to not become that type of person, because that is how you grow bitter and resentment. When you feel like it's time to go, it's time to go. Yes, responsibilities come into play, adult life comes into play, but if you really want it and you really sit down and look at the finances and, you instill some discipline, you stop spending so much money, you do what's needed, what's right, you can make it happen. You just have to look at what it is, and you have to be realistic. For me soon, I don't know. I think about life and I hate trading all my time for money. But then I look at it and I'm like, well, what would I be doing if I wasn't working this job? Realistically, I'd probably just be hiking. I'd be, making content like this. This is cool to me. This has always been cool to me. And at first I just wanted this gameplay to just be quiet, simple. Just for people who never got to experience it. They could have a game that they, potentially could play. Whoever can't get their hands on a copy of this game or even play this game, or maybe they're worldwide, in a different continent, and just stuff like that. I think the whole reason why I even started YouTube was simply because I just wanted to share my input and try and make the world at least a little better. For if I can do that, well, then I've succeeded. My biggest goal in my life was always to become the best person that I can become. And through this journey, you guys shall see me evolve and grow. And I hope, you can take a piece from me and I can take a piece from you. And always take a piece from the people that you like and to leave out the rest. Always do that, for that's what I've always done. These are my opinions, Hopefully you can learn and take what I'm telling you. Hopefully you can get the memos and the reasoning of what I'm trying to say. But there's no point to have, and I digress back to what I was saying with family. So it's time, family, and friends. And because, these are relationships. At the end of the day, like when you go and do stuff alone, yes, it's fun, it's cool. But, it's always more fun with another person. And it's especially more fun when you have those people. Especially when you need somebody to talk to. Just to vent and vibe. These are really important things. Especially when you're going through stuff, just having someone, it's just important to talk, to go do stuff with, even if, you don't want to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever, even if you're alone, even just relying on some family, and friends, it's nice to just have somebody to go and talk with. And we need human interaction. It's inevitable. We need human interaction. It's scientifically proven that we need it, as much as we are alone and like to be alone. And I'm not saying that we can't be introverts and, fade away and shy away at times where we need to, enclose ourselves and recharge. Because I like to consider myself extrovertedly introvert or introvertedly extrovert, just because I love to go outside and hang out with people I do and party and stuff and all XYZ. However, I also do need that time to withdraw and recharge. For once I hit my limit of people, I'm like, okay, it's time to withdraw. And that's totally okay. But at the end of the day, just because I need time to withdraw doesn't mean I 100% can go without people. I do need people, and you need people. And if you're locked up in your room 24/7 and you're not doing much, I encourage you to please just step outside and go to the gym. Go on a walk, for it'll do so much for your mental health and sanity. And it's needed. Need be is needed. So time, friends, family, money, and then third, which should be above all, is God, or whatever universal existence, presence that you think might be the almightiest, whatever need be. But to me, it's my God, your God, and he's always there. He's always watching you. For if in the end, I just see it like this. There's so many things that I want to do and so many things I want to chase down. But, and this is just my opinion. But if I were to go and learn and try to learn and to master all the things that I really want to do and think about, I would probably be like 60 before I ever learned like most of these things or all of these things. And in the end, what does it matter? For in the end, not even the rich and famous people are remembered. Maybe 1,000 years max, but or whatever, XYZ. But, not even these people get to be remembered and will be carried on, for they rose from the dust, and to dust they shall return. And it's just like getting famous, getting rich, and doing all these things. Like, what does it really matter in the end? And by all means, I'm not depressed or but, you just got to look at what really matters in the end. Is it another shift? Is it another job? Is it really expending all your time? Or is it maybe, taking a lower pay cut where you go and travel and, you don't get paid good, but you get food, you get a place to stay, but you work, you don't make good money, but you're doing something, you're chasing it. I encourage you to just take that step forward, for it's needed. It is very needed. To me, in the end, if it's God, God is the only thing that matters in the end, and to live it and to have a good time and to live life. Because I really don't think, apart from all the government and stuff, and I got to watch what I say, but, apart from the government, I don't think life was really set up to be like this. I think we were truly meant to just love one another, eat some fruits, and enjoy dancing, praising God, praising life, and just enjoying these things. I get it. Maybe the latter would be super boring. I don't know. I have no idea. But in my opinion, if we're here just for a short time, the only way that I think that it could have ever made sense is if we go back to the Adam and Eve days, when they were 800 plus, I think that's the only way that it could make sense, is to do everything, to be a carpenter, to be a mechanic, to be a painter, a firefighter, a salesman, all these things that take time and patience and dedication and mastery to learn, all these things really count and matter. But in the end, you think, oh, what does it matter? Because my body's still going to wither away and die. But yes, in those moments, have fun doing it and love it. I guess my whole point of this, at the end is like, you really have to, live in the moment, because that's all we have. And once it's gone, it is gone. So cherish your family, cherish your loved one, kiss your girl, kiss your mom, do what's needed. Obviously on the cheek, XYZ, but, you just gotta live. You gotta live life, for time is ticking, and if we're not, really prioritizing what matters to us right now in the moments, well, our life will be led away from us, and it will be led by somebody else, for they know what to do with our time, for they know what to do with our money. So I encourage you, my people, to just get up, do what you need to do and want to do. And if you don't know how, just take that first step and try. For I believe in you, and the Lord believes in you always. Much love to everybody who's tuning in, checking this out. Again, if you guys have another topic you want me to talk about, please leave it down in the comments down below. Like, subscribe. I'll tell more stories on my life, and all these are just my opinions. You can have your opinion. You can agree with me. You can say I'm a loser. I don't really care. Do what's needed. But, I'll tell you one thing. I'm building a life for me, and I'm proud of it. And I'm proud of you. And I'm proud of you guys for even tuning in and checking this out and living life, and just being okay. I'm always here for you guys. Much love to you people. May God be with you always. I'm praying for you always. Time, friends and family, and God. Those are the most important things to me at the end of the day. For if that is very true, I must keep living, and I must keep, studying the Word and I must keep contributing and pushing myself to be more for me. You know, be a good person, love one another, help one another. When you feel that feeling inside of you, that is the Holy Spirit trying to tell you to do what is right. Do what is right. And I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to leave the rest so you can just sit and think and reflect upon what we talked about, what we discussed. And I am proud of you all. Much love. See you in the next one.